Hi, hello everybody, hello, welcome back. My name is Katie and today I'm doing a book haul. I do have a mug today. I haven't seen one in a while. Did you miss it? Probably not. I have my Jack Daniel's Tennessee Honey mug. So cute, yellow honeybees, love it. I have about 11 books to show you that I've collected in the past few months. I think since late January, early February, I've been getting these. And it's a good mix. It's a mix of genres. It's a mix of new releases and backlist titles, used books, new books. Let's just jump into it. The first book, I'll just get this one out of the way because it is a chunker and it's also, I mean, expected, I guess, at this point. And that is A Court of Silver Flames by Sarah J. Maas. This book is the first in a spin-off series / continuation of the Court of Thorns and Roses series by Sarah J. Maas. This follows two new characters. The original trilogy follows two characters, Feyre and Rhysand. This follows Nesta and Cassian as there's like a war brewing over in the human lands and they're in the Fey lands. I don't want to jump into the plot of this because it will spoil things for the original trilogy, but I do want to recommend, if anybody out there that hasn't touched a Sarah J. Maas book, I think A Court of Thorns and Roses, the series, is her better work of the stuff I've read so far, so I would recommend it. I am very excited to jump into this. The two characters that it follows, Nesta and Cassian, I had fun with in the original trilogy, so I am excited to see where this one goes. This book is giant. It's giant. I have no idea when I'm gonna get to it. And then I actually was able to go to my local used bookstore and pick out some titles with some credit that I had. So I picked up a handful of mystery thrillers that I want to get to over the next couple of months. And the first one in my stack here is Then She Was Gone by Lisa Jewell. This follows our main character, Laurel, whose daughter had disappeared 10 years ago. So we were following her 10 years after her daughter's disappearance, when she meets a man, Floyd, in a cafe who has multiple daughters, and the youngest daughter, Poppy, looks like Laurel's daughter, Ellie. And the police have long suspected that Laurel's daughter, Ellie, ran away, but this encounter kind of brings everything back up for Laurel, and I think there's more behind the disappearance of her daughter, and we are following that. I honestly picked this up on a whim. I think I've seen this cover before circulating around BookTube. I haven't heard many things about it, but it seems like something I would enjoy, especially when I'm in this mystery thriller mood. So I will get to this hopefully soon. Then I have a book that you've seen before in my videos, but I haven't actually hauled it yet, and that is The Gilded Ones by Namina Forna. This follows our main character who is about to undergo a traditional blood ceremony when she figures out that she has gold blood, which means bad, red blood good, gold blood bad, and she gets invited to join this elite band of warriors all made up of gold bloods to protect the emperor, because she would have been thrown out of her village if they discovered her gold blood. I am waiting for the audiobook of this one. I just need to go ahead and pick it up physically, but something tells me the audio is going to be wonderful. I've heard good, wonderful things about it. It's right up my alley. I just need to get into it. On the back of this book, it's beautiful, by the way. This whole book is gorgeous. Are we girls or are we demons? Are we going to die or are we going to survive? And I think there's a girl gang in this, and that is my weakness. I hope there's some really good friendship threads. I hope there's fun, action-packed fantasy adventure. I have high hopes for this one. And next I have two historical fictions in this stack. The first one I picked up is The Great Alone by Kristen Hanna. This will be my first ever Kristen Hanna, but I've been watching more and more people review her books on BookTube, and they've convinced me to give her a go. So this follows a family in 1974 that are living off the grid in Alaska, and the father of that family comes home from serving in the Vietnam War and has PTSD. So I think this is going to be a slow, heartbreaking historical fiction, and I don't get in those moods often often, but when I do, I want something good to pick up, so I've got this on standby. Then I have a young adult dystopian, actually, The Girl from Shadow Springs by Ellie Cipher. This has actually been on my radar. I cannot remember who recommended it or put it on their most anticipated list that piqued my interest. If I do remember, I'll link them down below. But when I was browsing at the bookstore, I saw that this was a local author for me, so I had to pick it up and support a local author. It was already something I had interest in. It was really fun to learn that Ellie is actually from the same state as me. I don't know, it just really made me happy. So this says, everyone in Shadow Springs knows that no one survives crossing the flats, but the threat of frozen death has never deterred the steady stream of treasure hunters searching for a legendary prize hidden somewhere in the vast expanse of ice. Jory thinks they're all fools, which makes scavenging their possessions easier. It's the only way she and her sister Brenna can survive, after all. But then, Jory scavenges off the wrong body. When the dead man's enemy believes Jory took something valuable from the body, he kidnaps Brenna as collateral. He tells Jory that if she wants her sister back, she'll have to trade her for the item he thinks she stole. But how can Jory make a trade when she doesn't even know what she's looking for? Her only source of information is Cody, the dead man's nephew, and a soft-hearted scholar from the south. Though Jory's reluctant to bring a city boy out onto the flats with her, she'll do whatever it takes to save her sister. But anything can happen out on the ice, and soon Jory and Cody find that they need one another more than they ever imagined, and they'll have to trust each other to survive threats beyond their darkest nightmares. Okay, so this was billed as a dystopian, but it sounds more like an apocalyptic survival novel, which honestly intrigues me even more. I honestly have pretty high hopes for this. Honestly, the save her sister trope is getting a little tired in my mind, but it's been a long time since I've read something like this, and I think this is just going to be a fun, fast-paced dystopian survival that I'm just gonna fall right into. Another book that you've already seen because it's on my April TBR, but I have not actually hauled it yet, and that is The Space Between Worlds by Micaiah Johnson. You'd think I would have learned how to pronounce it by now. This is an adult sci-fi that takes place in a world where you can hop between parallel dimensions, but you can only go into dimensions where your parallel self has already passed away. And I believe our main character, there's only a handful of her still alive in all these different dimensions, so she is plucked to like be somebody that travels between these dimensions all the time. But I think there's a mystery element because there's only 8 doppelgangers of our main character Kara that is still surviving, and when one of them mysteriously dies, she has to figure out what happened. Again, another short, fun sci-fi. I haven't read sci-fi in a while. I haven't picked this one up yet as of filming this in the middle of April. Hopefully I'll get to it very soon and complete it on my TBR. I have another book that I did not expect to be as big as it is, and that is Rule of Wolves by Leigh Bardugo. This is the second book in the Nikolai duology, which is a continuation slash spin-off of the Grisha trilogy, and the Six of Crows duology. I have not read King of Scars yet, so I can't tell you what the first book is about, and I can't read what this book is about because it's gonna spoil me, but I know it's Leigh Bardugo. I love the Grishaverse. I feel like I've talked about it so much in the past couple of videos, but yeah, I love the Grishaverse, and look at how chunky this boy is. Let's marathon this series. Let's do it. So when I went to pick up Rule of Wolves, I saw another new release that I had heard no hype around, no press about. I guess I'm following the wrong people because I ended up picking up a copy of Beneath the Keep by Erica Johansson, which is a novel of the Tierling. Erica Johansson wrote the Queen of the Tierling trilogy, which is one of my favorite adult fantasy trilogies of all time. It is impeccable in my opinion. I love it so much. And I believe this is it's not really a continuation. This is taking place years after the original trilogy. I am gonna give a synopsis, but if you have any interest in the Queen of the Tierling trilogy, this may spoil you on what happens in that one, so just skip ahead. But apparently in this one, the Tierling kingdom has fallen into disrepair. We are years after the original story, and it's fallen into a feudal state, and the gap between the rich and the poor continues to grow and grow, causing unrest among the kingdom. So this follows Princess Alyssa as well as a boy Lazarus, who have to come together to figure out how to save the kingdom. them. I can't believe I haven't heard anything about this. I am disappointed in myself that I did not know this was coming out, but I'm also super excited to get to this because I loved the original Tierling trilogy and I cannot wait to go back into that world, even though it sounds like it's not gonna be a wonderful place, but hopefully we'll get a good story out of it. Oh, okay. This is the only book that I bought that I have actually read so far, so I'm not doing too great on the getting my TBR down to 75 books, although I have been reading off of my TBR pretty nicely if you check out my wrap-ups. But this book I have already read. I listened to it on audio. It was in my March wrap-up. That is The Night Swim by Megan Golden. This is an adult mystery thriller that follows a podcaster who is covering a rape trial live as it's happening. She's a famous true crime podcaster. When she gets to this city where the rape trial is happening, she gets contacted by a fan who wants her to investigate the mysterious death of her sister. So we kind of have three different perspectives. We have the main character's perspective, we get snippets of her podcast, and then we have letters from this fan trying to convince the main character to investigate. This book was really good. I enjoyed it. Megan, please write more with podcasts, more mystery thrillers with podcasts. Thank you, thank you, thank you. The next book that I picked up at my used bookstore, I know I have a handful on here that say book of the month. Those I just picked up at, I'm not a book of the month subscriber. These I just picked up at my used bookstore, and that is Fountains of Silence by Ruta Sepetys. I knew how to pronounce her name at one point, but I don't know. This takes place in Madrid in 1957 on the brink of the Spanish Civil War. Basically, Spain is divided. There's a lot of political unrest, but there are also a lot of tourists and rich people, wealthy people coming in expecting kind of this rich wine and food country. And so we follow two characters, one who is a visitor with his family and one who is a Spanish citizen who lives in Spain and on the brink of this civil war. I've only read one other book by this author before, but I did enjoy it, and I do tend to enjoy more first of all, more recent historical fiction. I like 20th century historical fiction. It's just something that I like, but I also like, basically I don't like World War II historical fiction. I'm sick of that and I want something different, and Ruta definitely gives that to us, so I do want to jump into this hopefully soon. Last up, another adult mystery thriller selection. That is Someone We Know by Sherry LaPena. In a quiet, leafy suburb in upstate New York, coincidentally where I grew up, although everyone thinks anything above the city is upstate New York, so who knows where this actually is set. In a quiet, leafy suburb in upstate New York, a teenager has been sneaking into houses and into the owner's computers as well, learning their secrets and maybe sharing some of them too. Who is he and what might he have uncovered? After 2 anonymous letters are received, whispers start to circulate and suspicion mounts. And when a woman down the street is found murdered, the tension reaches a breaking point. Who killed her? Who knows more than they're telling? And how far will all these very nice people go to protect their own secrets? In this neighborhood, it's not just the husbands and wives who play games. Here, everyone in the family has something to hide. You never really know what people are capable of. So I think Sherry LaPena is a very popular mystery thriller, adult mystery thriller author. I'm trying to expand my horizons away from just Ruth Ware and Tana French and Riley Sagar. Let me know what you think of her down below, and I might check out more of her works. So that is it. That is my haul for today. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, give it a like, subscribe if you want to. You do not have to. I am just happy that you're here. And there is a link to register to vote down below. In my opinion, it's never too late to register to vote. So go ahead and do that if you haven't already. And I will leave you there. Bye.